Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Phil John's V.I.P. Thank you for joining me on this Sunday night. Before everyone gets started and get in front of that TV, I'm sure everybody's around the dinner table probably eating right now. I want to say thank you for joining me for this live. I appreciate it. Shout out to everybody on IG who will be attending this live and who's going to catch it on the replay. I want to say thank you very much. Without further ado, let's get to it. My guest is a new friend of mine, but she is also a talented host and actress all the way across the pond. I'm bringing on Miss Joti Patel. She has worked with Neil Patrick Harris. She has done soap operas in the UK. She's doing magnificent things on QVC UK, and now she's in the US of A, about to make things happen and set it off. She is a brilliant talent, a genuine spirit, and I am so excited because tonight I'll be introducing her to all of you. So without further ado, let me bring on the talented and gracious Joti Patel. Here she comes. Be nice. I like this. I like new things. New things are good. Joti, where you at? Where you at, Joti? I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. Here she comes. Here she comes. And boom, there she is.
Hello, everyone, and thank
Joti
you.
Patel, how are you?
I'm good.
Thank you so graciously joining me tonight. You can hear me. Everything's okay, right?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Because I hear you perfectly. How are you today?
I'm good. Sundays are always my favorite day of the week, so yes.
Right, because it's like a chill day, right? You don't need to do anything. You can relax, grab some tea, watch some television.
That's it.
Right?
You got it in a nutshell.
Kind of get it ready to go for the rest of the week.
That's
right.
Reset and recharge. So yes.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for joining me tonight. I have saw all the things that you've been a part of. Well, not all of it, but most things that you've been a part of in the UK and things that you've done in the UK. And now that you're here in the United States, I want to know, where did this all begin for you? How did it start for you? How did Joti Patel get to this place?
Well, that's an interesting question with an interesting story, Phil. Because once upon a time, I was working in a care home for people with dementia. And it's amazing what clarity you can find in a dementia care home. And that is really where I found my moment of clarity, because you can't rely on language in the same way to connect with people who have got dementia. And so I found myself really trying to tap into their world through facial expressions, through nuance, through non-verbal communication, as well as verbal communication. And then realizing the power of storytelling, but through a different art form. And really just finding that human connection and how powerful that can be when people don't have the ability to speak and converse in the way that you and I do. It just made me realize how short and fragile life is. And did I really want to be bogged down with bureaucratic paperwork, which is a big part of the healthcare industry, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Much as I love the residents, I saw myself doing something more creative and really telling stories and sharing other people's stories through this art form, which has been a real pleasure and a privilege.
I always said, I too worked in a dementia unit, and I always say that, even though the mind is gone, the spirit of the person is still there. So if your spirit can connect with theirs, it's a beautiful way to see two human beings communicate.
Absolutely right. And I feel that even universally, I've worked in different places, I've lived in different countries now, and there are things that transcend the physical barrier of language. And for me, that heart-to-heart connection, seeing the person and really tapping into the eyes, and the eyes are the window to the soul, as you know. So there's so many different ways to connect. It's so multifaceted, so nuanced, and each interaction can be very different one to the next. And that lends itself so well to the acting world. And of course, on camera, anything, it's all through the eyes.
What made you fall in love with performing and being in front of people?
Phil, it was the last thing I ever thought I'd be doing with my life, quite honestly. It took a while to fall in love with it, if I'm honest. It was more it's like a calling to connect emotively. I'm a feelings person. I've always been a feelings person. And using that part of me is how I express myself in a lot of ways. And so it just made sense. But I was never someone who thought I'd be in front of the camera, more so, behind the camera, or maybe writing some of the stories. But being in front of it started many years ago. I did a pageant in the place I was working in at the time in the UK. I was in Miss India finals, and there was a media piece to that. And I was just very intrigued by, oh my gosh, there are media people here, and that's a really fascinating world. And then doing little bits of press for the event, and then it just opened up a whole new world to me that I didn't know was accessible. And then fast forward a few years, didn't really do much with that until it hit a point in the care homes where I just thought I'd really like to be hosting. I want to be interviewing people and eliciting their story and shining a light on them. And then
So
through that,
you were in a pageant
many years ago,
okay.
yeah, like a really long time ago, and I really wasn't a pageant person either. So it's really interesting. All the things that I didn't think I would be doing,
Right.
I am doing. And
Right.
then through the hosting, there were bits of commercials and modeling, and probably like how most actors just end up doing lots of things and building up a repertoire of skill sets, and then eventually film and TV found its way into my world. And
So did anyone tell you, like, maybe you had a look or there was something special about you that you needed to explore?
yeah, I guess there were a couple of things. One was that there was a lot that people could see in me, the potential of what could be, and how powerful eyes, actually, talking about eyes, I had a lot of compliments on my eyes all the time and how they tell so many stories and how I'm quite an expressive person. And so it felt good to be able to find an outlet for that, really, and to help other people connect with my world and for me to step into theirs. And working across so many different sectors and environments, it helped me really broaden my communication skill set. And then I began coaching people on the art form of communication and storytelling and merging corporate worlds and creative worlds and blending the two together. So it's taken me on a fascinating journey, quite honestly. As you know, we've spent many nights talking at the desk in our building and, just having lots of heart-to-hearts there.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
it's interesting how once you start the journey, you realize how many talents you actually do have and what you can contribute.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is about exactly that. It's about contributing. It's not just about ego and me and everything else. And it's very easy for a lot of actors, I think, to fall into that world and make it about them. But actually, it's about what are you giving? What are you contributing? How are you building on other people's stories and collaborating? It's such a collaboration type of industry that you can't do it by yourself. And so meeting good people along the way has helped me really go to my next step and then the next step. And eventually you find yourself in America thinking, how on earth did I get here? Is this my life? And
Right.
how did I ever imagine this could be a reality? So it's really interesting when you're open to possibilities, what can happen.
So let's get this straight now. You are a British actress
Yes,
from the UK
from
of Indian and Trinidadian descent, right?
kind
With
of
roots
roots.
in those
Yes.
areas.
Well, I
So
have.
I'm
Go on.
sorry.
It's all right. I have some Trinidadian heritage, but in a way that was from the Indian side of the family.
Mm-hmm.
So my family are all Indian, but they half of them moved to Trinidad and then came to the UK, and the other half went straight from India to the UK. And there's some cultural interesting pieces that fit together in that story, and so you learn a lot about personalities and how to tread the line of traditional conservative type of Indian culture and then Trinidadian Indian culture, which is actually really fun. So that
Right,
was it.
right. If you live in New York, you know about the Indian, Trinidadian, Guyanese,
Yeah,
Caribbean culture.
absolutely.
So it's easy. It's all over. It's part of the palette of what makes New York what it is.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like for you though, um, in this business with as a what people now refer to as BIPOC, right? You know, people of color. What was it like as an actress of color to work or get work in the UK?
Well, I started later in life with the acting industry, so it was always an interesting path, and I had to navigate that in a way. There wasn't much of a roadmap because most actresses started out way younger. So I think there were opportunities, but it was knowing how to tap into them and how to build that network and how to understand the industry and actually stay true to the craft of acting and learn about that, which meant receiving and being open to guidance and being humble enough to take on instruction and critiquing and all the things that just help you get better at what you're doing. But I find it's a smaller industry, of course, in the UK. It's a much more, it's a close-knit community, but people that were my peers were way more established than me, doing a lot more, had more of a CV on them. So for me and a lot of ethnic actors, coming to America really opens up another world of opportunities to complement that, so that you have two territories that you can work across and take advantage of two lots of opportunities. And that's been really fun as well. It's been a learning on this side in a different way.
Right. Was there I know that there's a lot of we talked about the theater festival in the UK, and I know there's a lot of people who from the US talk about I hope I'm pronouncing it right. The Edinburgh.
Say that again.
Is it the Edinburgh Theatre Festival?
Oh, Edinburgh.
Edinburgh. Edinburgh. I'm
Oh,
sorry. I'm
that's
sorry.
so
I know I'm always mispronouncing that festival. But so many people that I know who have gone from the U.S. over to the UK during that time and actually had plays in that festival. And it's kind of like a big thing. I know just hearing actors talk about it here, like to do any kind of theater in London is like a big thing and it's kind of a gold star on your resume to have on your resume. So what was that like for you? If it was theater something that you entertained, or was it just film and TV only?
That's a really interesting question as well, because a lot of actors take the route of theatre, and I just stayed open to what could be. So I trained at a drama school, and at drama schools they're very theatre focused initially to get the craft and the technique and well, the stagecraft, which is really helpful for beginners like me who really hadn't worked in the industry. So from that, I did dabble in theatre. I did some Romeo and Juliet, and that was immense fun. And I think actually I learned the most about acting in that job. And I did some side bits of theatre. Haven't been to Edinburgh Festival as an actress, but I know it is a big thing in the UK, and for people that are from international places, they come far and wide to go to Edinburgh. But for me, I gravitated more to screen just because it just lent itself that way with my look, with my naturalistic style of acting, I would say. Um, I'm open to theatre. I think it's a very fun way to earn your living. But there's also a reality to working in TV and film and theatre, and they will have their pluses and things that really work for your lifestyle. So there were lots of threads that had to be factored into that. But yeah, I absolutely learned a lot from the bits of theatre that I did do. I think it's a very helpful foundation.
Now, what brought you to the US?
Ah, wow, isn't that a isn't that an interesting story? I, I was just immersed in American TV shows when I was younger. I just found myself really gravitating to them, whether it was Beverly Hills 90210 or My Two Dads or Brothers and Sisters or whatever it was another world, literally. And as great as British TV is, as a teenager, I was very drawn to the American stuff. And so I knew that I wanted to work in America as an actress. I just didn't know how to make that happen. And then a friend of mine was working in LA, and he was like, "This is where you've got to be. It's your time. This is brown girl window time." He was saying. I'm like, "What are you on about?" He's like, "Look, you always say you felt you joined quite late in the UK. This is your chance to catch up. Like a lot of other actresses from ethnic minorities, they come here, they broaden their horizons, and they can work in both places." And so I was thinking, I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I have enough. Do I need to do more? But it was literally a very big leap of faith, quite honestly. I thought, okay, I have joined later in life. I do want to make up for lost time. What have I got to lose? I have no dependents. I'm very fortunate that I was able to have that agility just to up and move my life. And so I took some advice and I spoke to a lawyer and all of that stuff. And with all the things that I've done, it actually formed a really good case of me getting here, which was quite a surprise to me, but really welcome one as well. And then it took about maybe 18 months to get through the whole process. And then I came out here and
And you
nothing
ended up
could have really
on
prepared
the
me.
show with Neil Patrick
I
Harris.
I did, and I'm very grateful for that. I
It
did.
happens like that, you know.
Well, he was,
I always say the one thing I love about the business, and kind of that makes me annoyed a little bit about the business is that there is no hierarchy.
there
You
isn't,
know,
and that's a very important thing that you mentioned actually, and that's something I'm very aware of, is that anybody can be anything really. There's so much cross-pollination that you can tap into opportunities in a very different way. There's a huge scale of market here, which is overwhelming as a British actress coming out here for the first time and trying to navigate that first TV set with UnCoupled. Like, there's so many people on the call sheet. And
just in case anybody does not know what we're talking about Netflix's original series, Uncoupled, that Joti is a part of. So, what was it like working with Patrick Harris, and what was it like working on that set?
do you know, it was a pinch me moment because he is one of the shows I used to watch as Doogie Howser MD. And then here I am with Doogie Howser. And in my mind, that's all he'll ever be to me is Doogie Howser. I'm like, I'm working with Doogie Howser and he's right in front of me. So it was definitely a pinch me moment. Yeah. And it was a real privilege. Getting that first American TV credit was a real milestone for me. As you know, it takes time getting known in a new industry, but especially as somebody that had British TV credits. but I had a really great team, and I still have a great team that work hard to find those opportunities. And so through that, and I was really grateful. I had a ton of auditions since I moved here, and I've been very thankful for that because it's helped me sharpen up on how I do things as well.
Yeah.
It's been really helpful, and it got me jobs like UnCoupled. So yeah, I'm extremely grateful.
Look, I can't go without saying how brilliant you are on QVC.
Oh,
Right. I think that you are a natural and you flow so beautifully from segment to segment. Is there any chance that you'll be on QVC or the Home Shopping Network or any kind of HTV series in the US?
well, watch this space. I have made some connections with QVC out here, and I've been selected as one of their co-hosts for their pool of people they offer out to their clients. So that's really exciting for me. It was a home from home, literally going on set. I felt transported back to the UK, and it was always a privilege working with them. So yeah, that was. You never know what can happen, but I think coming out here and navigating lots of things I hadn't expected made my plans kind of take a detour in lots of directions, COVID and then the strikes. And so I've had to learn to be more agile in how I approach this industry whilst learning about it at the same time. And so I've turned my hand to lots of different things, like many actors in the last few years, just to keep moving and to keep the momentum and to keep growing as an actress and as a TV host.
So what do you do to keep yourself motivated?
Well, I think a lot about my dad's work ethic. I think I inherited a lot of that from him. And just discipline and hard work and grafting is a big part of this industry. And I think a lot of actors, they struggle with that, and quite naturally. So it's a very lonely profession at times. But I stay motivated by thinking about how far I've come rather than how far I've got to go, because it's a constantly evolving process where anything can happen. So it's just about being grateful and learning from other people in the industry. You've taught me a lot, Phil, in the short time we've known each other. We've had some great conversations. And you have.
It.
And listening to you, your stories about being in the New York circuit before COVID and what life was like in Starbucks and the changing room and all the actors getting together and changing their costumes one by one, and then you all going out to Philadelphia
yes.
and Baltimore.
It's
like,
so funny
picture
because Rachel McPhee, who's a good friend of mine and an actress, I interviewed her a couple of segments back, and we both remember that time, and it was just crazy because that's what it was.
You guys were hustling hard, and hats off to you. New York is, London is one thing, but New York and I guess LA, they've all got their own unique personalities and their own cultures, and the way you describe that, I just think it should be a TV show, quite honestly. I think you could do a lot with that. You'd be a fabulous writer for something, and then you should be in it, and it'd make for great viewing, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's good because one thing that New York did have back in that time was a sense of community among actors. And I kind of miss that now. But I think that every group has it. I think that there's always a group that comes along that has that kind of community, and then they graduate and they really get active in the business of what we do. And then there's another group of actors that come along with that sense of community that can share some of those stories, not necessarily the same way, but just in different things that happen, because times change, technology has changed. We didn't have Instagram at that time or anything like that. So it was kind of like just hustling from one audition to the next in person before, taped auditions became a thing.
Well, this is interesting, right? Because I moved my life here thinking that I'd be auditioning in person. But then because COVID came about 2 months later, every single audition I've ever had is on tape. And so it's a really interesting journey from, I'm like, okay, I'm here. And I've like timing is everything, right? But I'm here and I'm like, that's so interesting. I haven't been to a single audition room, but when I do, I'm looking forward to that too, because that's going to be a whole new experience on this side.
Now,
so
I know you're a woman of faith.
I am.
How does that play into this pursuit of this career?
Oh, hugely for me. I couldn't imagine navigating everything that I have without it, to be honest. It's the foundation of safety and security and sanctuary for me, to hold me firm during very uncertain times, to step out in faith, literally, and to trust the unseen, and to remember that we are a very small cog in this whole wheel, and and also for me, it's really important to think about what I'm contributing to the world around me in the grand scheme of life, not just me as an actress. You know, being an actress, being a presenter or host, as you say, I hear, it's just one facet of who I am. But life is to be lived as well. And those experiences are what really inform the choices that you make as an actress on camera, as a writer, in all parts of what we do. So I think trying to follow my heart has been very helpful as a compass, because to me that's where passion comes from. And when I think about the heart, I think about the spiritual world and how that's brought me to where I am against so many odds and kept me here against so many odds. So although I don't see the end result right now, I know this is just a very small part of the tapestry that will one day make a lot more sense to me, hopefully. So, yeah.
I always say, I don't see how anybody can be in this business and not have a level of faith, because you really just don't know when the opportunity. I mean, bad things can happen, yes, but so can all of the miracles, what I call the miracles that happen along the way, that, yourself, you didn't have any kind of hand in orchestrating how it was going to happen. We can have faith and we can believe that it will happen, and I do believe that, but sometimes we're not responsible of how it will all align and work out in our favor. But that's the beauty of it, right? The beauty of it is to watch that and experience that coming in.
Absolutely. And I think we've spoken as well a lot about, rejection in this industry. It's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of actors. And does it get easier? I don't know, Phil, but you kind of attune into it and you don't take it personally eventually, and you work through that in a mature way. But I also think, and we've spoke about this together, that, rejection is God's redirection. And I'm sure that was on Instagram somewhere as a post, but I didn't write that. I wish I could take credit for that. But I feel that, it really spoke to me. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes for us not to get that role, even though we might really, really want it. We don't know what else is waiting for us. And I still believe very strongly that what's for you will not pass you by. But in the moment, it is very hard to remember that and to lose heart. And you got to sometimes check in with yourself and be like, okay, I know there's more to this. Yeah. And be happy for people in the industry. Everyone's striving. And to feel that you want to congratulate people that are going places, because everyone's on their own path. You can't compare yourself to each other.
Be genuine about when you're being congratulatory.
Absolutely.
Be genuine. If it's not genuine, don't do it.
Yes, exactly. I agree. So I'm very genuinely happy for people that are getting opportunities. And I believe that each person comes to their own time. Everyone's on their own timeline. And we can't control that. It's an industry where you have to also be reactive, responsive, but be prepared so that when those opportunities come, you're ready. And that's what I think you and I both do a lot in our spare time, from what we've spoken about.
There's an old saying that success is when preparation meets opportunity.
Yes.
You still have to prepare. You still have to work toward it.
We've talked a lot as well about the business side of it, haven't we? Saying that, there's a lot of the industry that doesn't really address the business side of it, especially when you're starting out. And so you learn a lot from your colleagues, from mistakes, or experiences rather than mistakes. But you learn and you grow. And we've both had day jobs that you at times can feel like they're taking us away from our dreams. But
I've had plenty of day jobs.
Oh, me too. I didn't want to say that, but I was trying to play it down. But we compared how many jobs we've had, and we both
right. I'll book a job. I'll be like, peace.
You become very multifaceted as an actor, and it really prepares you for life. Like, look at COVID. I think actors were very well prepared due to uncertainty and not knowing where your next job or income is coming from, and living in the moment, being more present. I think actors were really well harnessed for that kind of environment, quite honestly.
And we need each other, because nobody understands what it is that we go through unless you talk to another actor. And with all the rejection that we get, it's good to be rejected and then be able to talk to another actor and laugh about it over a cup of coffee or something,
Yeah.
Because it comes into business.
It does. And it builds heart, and it builds community, and you can relate. And we're all vulnerable in our own way, and we're all just human trying to do what we do. But I think actors, the iceberg picture, you've probably seen it, where you see the tip of the iceberg above the water.
Yeah.
And about 90% of underneath, and that is so much an actor's life, isn't it? But to have each other, means everything. And to have that creative community so you can keep growing, learning, uniting, supporting each other.
Right.
It's invaluable. You can't do it by yourself.
But it's important and imperative to learn the business, though. I can't stress
Mm.
that enough. That I think learning how the business works helps you. It will help you not become so disenchanted by it so quickly. You'll know
Yes.
that this is just how it goes. It's not personal. It doesn't even have anything to do with your talent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just how the business works. And once you understand that,
Mm-hmm.
you should be able to sustain.
Absolutely. And that's really important what you just said, because sometimes we think rejection decisions about a casting role is about us or our self-tape. But actually, it can be just that they've cast the main character and you don't look like you would be a couple, for example. You don't work chemistry-wise, or it could be something that they've gone with a different age range, or who knows, the storyline could have changed. We don't know, but we have to just trust that it's not in our hands and it is what it is. Move on, next.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. So let me ask you 5 questions that I ask all my guests when they come to my show.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
You can take your time to answer them. I don't care, but you know, just you think it out if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
But I do it all. Don't stress. It's not anything intrusive. This is part of what makes Phil John's VIP what it is. All right.
I trust you, Phil. I
All
wouldn't
right.
be here
So
without it.
let me ask you this question number 1.
Mm.
What is it that you know now about the business opposed to what you thought you knew coming into it?
Okay. Give me a second. Repeat that once more for me.
What do you know now about the business opposed to when you first entered of what you thought you knew it was? So what do you know now? What have you discovered?
I've discovered that it's an evolving industry, that nothing is set in stone. Sometimes you get no's, but it's not the end of the road. It's about, I think what we talked about earlier, the business is really important. I didn't realize how much of a business it was when I started out. You're all about the art and the craft and just enjoying it. And then you realize there's a reality to being an actress or just being in the entertainment world and surviving that journey so that you can keep growing in your art form. So I think having that business mindset and that commercial lens about why certain decisions make sense or why they don't, or what you can do to help that journey move forward is really important. And it's not something I thought was a thing, but of course it is. It's called show business, not show fun.
Right.
So, you know, so yeah.
I heard many years ago that they said the business is 98% business, 2% talent.
Yes, and that is very true, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. So free yourself and just learn the business.
Yep. Yeah.
What advice would you give your 19-year-old self?
Oh my gosh. Okay, it's a double-edged sword, that one. In one way, I'd say start out earlier so that you can take advantage of more opportunities and kind of not have the pressure of life on your shoulders about paying a mortgage and all that stuff. But at the same time, starting out later gave me a lot of wealth of wisdom and resilience and life experiences that also served me very well. So it's a double-edged sword, that one. I would say start out younger, but also if I was going to be younger starting out, to put that commercial hat on and think of it as a business, not just a fun thing to do.
I don't think I would have survived. That's the thing. Like, I asked myself, like my 19-year-old self, I think that what I know about the business now, I don't think my 19-year-old self would have survived in a good way, because I felt like I was open to do anything and everything to be successful, right? Which I now know that couldn't be dangerous in this industry. Whereas now I feel like, and I say sometimes God delays things so that you can live life a little bit more. And so that when you're ready to get the gift, that you are mature enough and prepared for it. Just like Joseph in the Coat of Many Colors, right? So for me, listening, that came to me, and I was like, wow, I don't think that I would have been able to handle the success at that age.
I definitely relate to what you're saying. I think a lot of young people who enter the industry aren't aren't aware of what lies ahead, understandably. And when they do, there's a lot of mental health issues, obviously,
Yes.
that are a massive part of being an actor, but also poverty and putting all the eggs into one basket and not having a backup plan to kind of solidify the art dream, if you like, and wanting to rush through it. But it really is a process that takes a lot of time. If you want to have a long-term career, I think it's about building in layers rather than just kind of going hell for leather and just, burning out by the time you're 22 or something.
Right.
So have that maturity. But how old were you, Phil, when you started out in the industry?
16.
My gosh, that is young.
It was on and off, 16. And I met people along the way.
Mm.
But I stopped. It was always in and then out, stop and then go. So for me I met people early on that I could come back and I'm like, I met you when I was 16 and I remember what I was doing. But to have gained any level of success that early, I'm like, wow, no. I don't think I would have been prepared for that. I didn't have the adult supervision that I feel like I needed in order to be in an environment that was as wicked as it was, and not feel like because I wanted the success so bad that I was willing to do whatever to get it.
Yeah.
Right. It was I wasn't mature enough to see, danger. If there was danger, I wasn't mature enough to see it.
No, and that's so true. It's very easy to lose yourself in this industry at all ages.
Absolutely.
There's so many pitfalls and opportunities to go into very dark places. It doesn't take a lot.
Now I know when to go home. I'll just say, good night, everybody.
Yeah,
Time to leave the
there's wisdom.
Party now.
That's right. There's wisdom in knowing what to tap into and what to tap out of.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, having social media is another layer we probably didn't have to deal with when we started out.
That's
but
true.
Today, young actors especially, it's quite a lot, I think, to navigate. So yeah.
That's very true. So what would you like your legacy to be?
I would love my legacy to be uniting communities through the art form of storytelling, to show that we're just beneath all the labels and whatever else we throw on to communities and to ourselves, that we're all humans at the end of the day, here to experience life and to bring the best of us into each situation as much as we can, and to just serve the wider communities around us, not to make it all about us, but to leave a positive message of unity and how we can transcend some of those barriers through shared storytelling and shared emotions and shared circumstances. I think every human, no matter what religion, what age group, whatever, you can connect as humans first and foremost. And I think we forget the human touch in the modern world. So that was what I would want to be my legacy. And to throw a few of my own stories into that, there's been some incredible chapters that I have experienced being out here and even in the UK. And I would love for my life to mean something at the end of it, where it serves as entertainment, because honestly, Phil, it's been quite comedic at times. I couldn't have made it up. I've probably got the best ever TV show to come out of all my experiences. So I'd love to, for all of us to laugh about that.
You can't write it. No one else can write this story but you.
Absolutely. So does that answer your question?
Yes, that answers my question. Thank you so
much. What
much.
about you, Phil? Because we've never spoke about your legacy, but I know you've always been really passionate about your craft.
Always gets me with my own questions. Similar to you, I think that, and I always say this, I think that I have one of the things that have impacted me in my life was television shows that I watched growing up, and television shows that still move me. The beauty about then opposed to now was that then we didn't have, like you said, social media or anything like that. So we weren't feeding off of the dysfunction of people's personal lives. What we got was the work. We got the work. We got the stories that they told. And the stories that they told was written and directed and presented in such a way that it moved you. You felt something every time you sat in front of television and you saw it. You felt something every time you got in front of a stage, and you consumed what the actors was doing. You consumed what the writers had written, and it impacted you. It moved you. It changed you in some way. Yeah. And I think that's what I feel like I would like my legacy to be, that somebody was changed in a positive way based on something that I presented creatively. And that, to me, that's important, because that's the thing that lasts forever. When I think of all of the comedic talent, no matter how they left the physical world, whether it was, accidental or whatever. There are people like John Belushi and Tim Conway and John Ritter and Flip Wilson and all of these creative comedic actors who brought so much light. Jerry Lewis, who brought so much light and love and joy that even on a bad day in 2024, I could sit down in front of a television and put on a Jerry Lewis film and it totally escape, and it brings joy to me. It does something to the mind and the spirit, and I think that's what it is. I also would like to do things that causes people to think and make people feel uncomfortable so the conversations can be had. But definitely that would be something that that I would say that I would love for my legacy to be.
That's an incredible legacy. And you touch upon a couple of things that remind me of when I was young, actually, about the world of escapism. I think we live in very, the world is what it is right now, and it's a very tough place for a lot of people. But TV and film were forms of escapism where you could just immerse yourself into other people's worlds and realize you're not alone.
Yeah.
And you feel like these people are your family. I don't know if we spoke about This Is Us, but I've had constant raving about this show. I know it's been out for years now, but I just love everything about that show, and the themes are so universal, and it's so nuanced and intricate and well written and incredibly acted, but it spans so many human elements, the age demographic, the dementia, the adoption, the diversity inclusion, and just the growing process of life and loss. And it's just incredible, and a show like that has left a really big imprint on a lot of people, and help them navigate some of their hurdles in today's world. So I think that's
I always say this, and even though he's no longer here, say what you want about him, but he's really my favorite. Norman Lear. Norman Lear said that if you can endear your characters to an audience, you could make the audience feel whatever it is that you want them to feel. You could make them laugh, you could make them cry, you could make them happy, because they are fully invested into your story, into your lives of those characters. That's the thing about television today I miss.
Yeah, I agree. I think part B of my legacy, as you were talking, I was thinking I wanted to, part of my legacy as well would be to show people that things are possible, even in a very heavy, dark world sometimes. It just takes one interaction and everything can shift. So being open and seeing the joy in life, it's very easy to get bogged down with everything that's wrong with the world. But actually, there's a lot that's right with the world as well. There are some great people, incredible kindness around us, fantastic things people are doing to better the world for everybody. And I think that's something that I'd love my legacy to be a part of.
Right. Like, I don't want, no offense to aliens and spaceships and all that stuff going up, but people are still, what I love is that people are still trying to figure out how to just deal with family dynamics, and those things are forever. Those are everyday challenges. There's always something new that you could write about members of a family or a community that's that has some sort of storytelling value to it. Shout outs to the Urban Brothers and Kingdom Company and Brett McCorkle, who I had the privilege of interviewing, who are doing some great stuff regarding stories about just human connection.
Yes, and I think this is something that in the modern world with technology and earpods everywhere and people just very much immersed in their own world, I hope we don't lose that element of storytelling as we kind of live in one-person bubbles. I think community, interacting, being vulnerable, having the human touch, it's all really important for the art form of storytelling. So
what brings you joy?
What brings me joy? When I find a great TV show, that brings me incredible joy. I just watch one day on Netflix. Love that. Nice binge watch always brings me joy. I love great conversation over great food. I'm a real foodie. I think food is another thing that brings people together, and I'm a nurturer. I do this office job. It's incredible, Phil. I've made these people my family. I just feed them all day, every day. And I kind of designed my own job in this office by feeding them breakfast and getting their lunches and just kind of making it very homely. And I think they're like, what is wrong? They're probably not used to this in their corporate world. And I know they appreciate it, but they don't realize where it's coming from. And the fact is, I need an outlet to nurture. My plants are dead, so that
you're doing it, but there's no motive.
Yeah, like literally, I just want to give and I want to nurture, and that's very much who I am. And I tried to grow plants, but that didn't really last too long. So I'm like, okay, plan B. These people are my family out here. I'm gonna feed all these private equity hedge fund people in the office and set them up and make them feel good about their environment and make it home from home. So that brings me a lot of joy to make people feel at home.
What are you grateful for?
I am grateful for the kindness of people in my life. I have met some incredibly kind people at very pivotal moments, especially. And no offense to New Yorkers, but you know, when you're from the UK, you kind of have an expectation of what New Yorkers might be like, and you hear that they're not the warmest of people, but that has not been my experience. I have met some really kind people in New York and New Jersey, and even in the UK. And I think the kindness of strangers, I can't tell you what people have done for me at really incredibly low points in my life, especially.
Yeah.
And I've just been made to feel, talk about me welcoming other people. They've made me feel welcome into this neighborhood. I love my neighborhood. I fell in love with it the minute I came here. And even the office, these people have, like I said, have become my family in my head.
Right.
And just people have given me strength at moments where I just didn't know how to carry on with the next step. So I'm very grateful to be here, especially given all the obstacles that have been presented before, soon after I got here. I've got a great team, thank goodness. But I also didn't expect COVID, never even heard of COVID before I got here. And then the strikes and then the cost of living has just exploded in this neighborhood, like it has in a lot of places. And just being grateful that I'm still in this industry, that there is still an industry, that despite everything that's happened. And to meet, great people like you, Phil. You've been a part. Have you seen the show Modern Love?
No.
On Netflix? I was at Amazon, one of the two. It's brilliant. But there's one episode in the first series that reminds me of you. I don't know if people know what you do. Do people know that you have a different day job and stuff? You do.
Well, I have day jobs.
Day jobs. Okay, so it's okay that I reference one of your day jobs. But me and Phil, for anyone watching, we had parallel lives, and that's kind of what bonded us, really. Because I'd come home late from the office, you'd be working the concierge desk, and you were my constant point of contact after a hard day. And the Modern Love episode is very much about that. This girl moves to New York. It's about her and the concierge man and their special friendship that evolves because she's a loner and away from everybody that she loves. And the concierge man and her, they have these great conversations that we've been having. So having that familiarity, it's brilliant. You are that guy in the show. So yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for, a lot. First of all, let me just say thank you for being able to do this. Being
my pleasure.
To do this.
So, Phil, you could have had anybody doing this. You've been having some great episodes. I've been watching them back, but I just feel very honored that you asked me to come on here. So I appreciate that. Thank you for having me.
Look, when you got it, you got it. I think that should be shown. I truly do. So what's next for you?
What is next? I am writing a sitcom, and it's based on one of my many day jobs. I used to be a matchmaker, so I had a lot of fun with that. You can imagine. You can imagine what that was about. But yeah, I'm writing about my experiences of that.
Did anybody find love?
I can't reveal everything yet. You have to watch it. You're gonna have to watch it. But there's a lot of things that helped me in a very difficult time to navigate the next steps. And turning my hand to different jobs has given me a wealth of fun and stories and experiences that I'd like to write about. So yeah, I'm writing sitcoms and trying to get that off the ground, and then just keep moving forward and getting to know people out here and building that community. We've talked a lot about the importance of a creative community, and that's something I've really, really missed, and that I'm beginning to put foundations into. And I want to just keep seeing more shows and watching more films and getting out there onto film sets and TV shows and just doing what I love, quite honestly. So yeah.
That's amazing, and I'm sure it will happen sooner than you think.
I trust the timing. That's not in my hands, but it doesn't mean I don't want it yesterday. Of course I do.
Right, exactly. Like we never know. The way the business is, like you never know when something's gonna hit, when something's gonna pop, when you're gonna get an offer, when you're gonna get a call, when you're gonna get a call back. We just never know. So the beauty is the journey itself.
And that is exactly right. It is a journey, and that spontaneity is actually what keeps it really exciting and keeps it very fun. You know, because you just don't know, one day to the next, everything can change. So it's that world of possibilities. And
Is there any like I guess directors you've ever wanted to work with? Like,
I mean, Spielberg was always my favorite, and he probably still is. I just think he's a legend, and you know, no one for me comes. All my favorite films are very much Spielberg films, so yeah, that would be my number one choice without question. What about you? Who's your favorite?
There's a few that are no longer with us. Spielberg, of course. I think a lot of actors would say Spielberg, but for me, it would be Sidney Lumet
Okay.
and Alan Parker, who is no longer, both who are no longer with us. But they were. Sidney Lumet had a brilliant way of doing films that like he rehearsed cast like a play. So by the time he got ready to shoot, he would always come in under budget because everybody knew what was happening everybody knew what was happening at every scene because they had rehearsed like it was a play. And I think that was so smart to do.
Yeah.
And to come into under budget every time.
Yeah.
But also it also increases the quality of the work and the performance. So I have to say that I think that's who
Well, I tell you,
I'd love to have worked with.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'd be very flattered if they could hear you say that. Their legacy lives on quite clearly.
Yeah.
And when you were
brilliant.
Well, when you were talking and you're talking about coming under budget, the other person I think of is Eva Longoria, who's quite new to the director world, but I met her in a Q&A.
Hot Cheetos.
Yeah. You saw it, isn't it a great film? What did you think of it?
I didn't see it yet, but I just know the backstory.
It was brilliant.
I
thought it was a really fun. I felt invigorated. It was a feel-good film.
Yeah.
And I was listening to the Q&A, and she was there on stage, and listening to her as a Latina woman talk about how she had to prove herself in a different way.
The SAG-AFTRA Foundation.
Right. That's right. At the Robin Williams Center, I think it was, and she was talking about how she had to approach as a female in a minority, and how she had to go above and beyond to come in under budget and to really have everything buttoned up so that no one could ever throw anything at her to prevent her from having another opportunity. But I thought she did a phenomenal job. I think I've always admired her as an actress. I think she's incredibly talented. And as a female director, she's somebody I would love to work with. So, yeah, you should watch it. It's good.
I will. It's one of those things I meant to watch, but totally forgot to watch. But yes, I will.
Well, you'll never look at Cheetos the same way. Thank you, Phil.
Joti Patel, thank you so much, so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate you taking the time to come in and have this conversation with me.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It wasn't that bad. It was quick, actually.
It was. The tech was the most daunting. The tech was the most daunting thing. But thank you for walking me through it. It's been great.
All right.
Have a great night.
We'll see everyone next time in the VIP. Joti Patel, everybody. Please, her link is in the story, so just go check out her website at www.jotipatel.com, correct?
Thank you. That's correct.
That's it. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Bye.